Welcome back to HDC's COVID-19 review series. My name's Catherine Ross and I'm here with Taylor Staines. Please note that we are practicing social distancing whilst recording this podcast from our own separate homes. During this series, we'll be talking to Harborough District Council staff to find out what they've been doing in the community during the response to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Staying active and healthy is vital during this pandemic, but it doesn't look the same as it usually would at the moment. Today we'll be talking to a member of the Active Harborough team to find out what they've been doing in response to the COVID-19 pandemic to help people of Harborough stay active. So hi Leanne.
Morning Taylor, morning Catherine.
Morning.
So what is your usual role within the council?
My usual role is a bit of a long title. It's a Physical Activity Development Officer. We shorten that down to a PADO. So kind of what that basically means is we increase physical activity by any means that we can really for residents in the district. We do a lot of partnership working with external organisations, working with parishes, community interest groups, sports clubs, health practitioners, businesses, absolutely anyone really to help develop physical activity opportunities and programmes. So yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thanks, Leanne. So how has your role changed during the pandemic and what have you been doing sort of in response to that?
Well, I think the role of the PADO really, it is always changing. I've been doing this job for over 10, nearly 11 years actually, and it's never looked the same, 2 years in a row. But it's never changed this much. So, even for us ones who are hardened to a bit of change, then it's definitely different at the moment. It's a new one. When we were initially locked down, it was quite nice to have a reflection period because we tend to fall into the trap of just rolling out programmes year on year. And what we haven't been so good at previously is saying, actually, is this intervention working? Whereas we've had that time for a reflection now, and we feel like as a team we've pulled together a pretty good sort of plan for the service going forward. So taking the positive out of what many will see as a negative situation is we've had a really good hard look at ourselves and what we do. In terms of publicly facing how the role has changed, we've gone massively online. So at the minute our website is looking fantastic. For those that don't know, Active Harborough have got our own website, and it's looking absolutely top notch at the minute. So really, really proud of how that's looking. We've also had a lot of engagement through social media, which has been again another positive because we cover sort of physical activity, sport, and health as well. So a lot of the health messages which are going out, consistent with what the government's putting out, are the stuff that we need to be promoting. And we feel like we're getting that message across quite well. And actually, I think we've all been pretty astonished by the sort of central government really in their emphasis on how important physical activity is, especially during the lockdown period. So we all know everybody's going to be going to the park. There's been loads of people doing the Couch to 5K running. People have bought loads of trainers to go out. The bike sales are through the roof. So for us, the trend is really positive. For us, it's changed in that people are actually understanding our message. It's been a bit easier of recent to emphasise how important it is, particularly for mental health.
Yeah, it's great that the community are really starting to get involved with physical activity now. So how do you think your role has benefited the community?
I think although we've not been able to get out and about and seen people, I like to think we've spread a little bit of cheer with our social media posts. We've put out some quite light-hearted posts, done some silly things with some good videos. But they've always got that important message behind them, really, which is just move a little bit more. That's all we're asking people to do. We've also created, as I've mentioned, a fantastic resource in our website, which I think we can use that now as a basis, not for just the coming months, but the coming years. A lot of that information is going to stay relevant. There's always going to be people that can't get out of the house for whatever reason, particularly in places like Harborough. because we're so rural. So that information we've got on there, you know, for either older people or families, it's always going to remain relevant. So now we've got that groundwork in place. You know, it's massively going to benefit the community if we can keep pushing that message out there.
Thanks, Leanne, for talking to us today. It's really useful to see what you've been doing and how we're kind of supporting the community with regards to physical activity. So thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this podcast in this series. If you have any questions about anything that we've discussed today, please email communications@harborough.gov.uk. Thanks very much.
Don't forget to stay alert, control the virus and save lives.